Darth Vader learns of the planet Hoth thanks to Dr. Aphra, plus we have Chewie and Turbis the Porg going at it against First Order troopers on Kashyyyk, all in this episode of Star Wars Weekly. Hello fellow Star Wars fans, it is Starrapter here and welcome to the channel. If you are new, I talk about Star Wars on a weekly basis that can include the comics, novels, TV series, and more. This week we have a comic from Marvel as well as IDW. So this first one is Dr. Aphra, issue number 39. This is part of the Destination Hoth type of initiative that's going to get us into The Empire Strikes Back. This is the penultimate issue of this series. We do know we're getting a volume 2. This is a Rogue's End part 3. So this is what you call a penultimate issue because this really gets us to the boiling point. It brings together everything from the past and really creates this awesome kind of conclusion that it's going to get us into the conclusion. So this issue we have Aphra. She's hiding out on the shuttle when it's captured by Captain Tolvin and her rebel cell. And well, we see that she's able to evade them long enough to get into their security and kind of mess with them a lot to the point where Tolvin reveals herself to Aphra and they get into this big heated argument and this big confrontation that ends up with them kind of sleeping together perhaps. And we know there's been this big romantic tension for this entire series really. And through this kind of romantic tension we have Dr. Aphra using Tolvin with her electric tattoo to figure out that Hoth is the rebel base, and she gives that information to 000. And that's how Darth Vader finds out, and that's where the issue leaves off on a huge cliffhanger. This was everything you could want from a penultimate issue of a comic series because we are tracing back events that happened several issues ago, like those electric tattoos when they both had them on the Acrestor jail, and seeing how they link to each other and really playing off that romantic kind of tension between Tolvin and just the opening sequence of her evading and all these rebels, and just it's a great issue. We even have some loose ends that are getting tied up with her father as well as Volata. Remember, she left her for dead. We have BT1 in here. This is just a great issue, and Dr. Aphra always gets one up on the previous issue. It's just the most consistent series I've seen in the comics yet. It just really, what I like about this issue and this comic series as a whole is just how we have these characters that are so original, that are so unlinked to anything else we've seen in Star Wars. Now, Darth Vader is the only character we know of in this issue that links back to anything else in Star Wars. And the fact that Dr. Aphra is going to matter this much into the overall Star Wars saga is just astounding to me. This is going to bring so much more heft to that opening sequence of The Empire Strikes Back when you see the probe droid coming down to the surface of Hoth. But yeah, we still have one issue left. We have issue number 40, and then we're going to get into the Empire Ascendant, which is going to bring together as like a crossover epilogue issue with Star Wars and Darth Vader and Target Vader. All those issues are going to get combined into this big story to see where we end up right before the events of The Empire Strikes Back. So yeah, I really did love this issue of Dr. Aphra. Next up from IDW, we have Star Wars Adventures issue number 29. This one, as always, has two separate stories. We have The Ghosts of Kashyyyk Part 2, as well as Secret Agent Droids Part 2. These both are part of Journey to Star Wars, The Rise of Skywalker, preparing us in that gap between The Last Jedi and The Rise of Skywalker. So tackling this first story, it's all about Chewbacca and Turbis, the Porg. They are on Kashyyyk, that is Chewbacca's homeworld, and it's currently being run by the First Order. There's a blockade around the planet. So this whole issue is really about Turbis and Chewbacca going around in the, not the Shadowlands, which is in Jedi Fallen Order, but it's rather the Black Forest. And they are just trying to liberate what they can of the Wookiees. The First Order is going to have to pull out of there. They're at one point going to transport some Wookiees off planet, just well like the Empire did back in the day. And well, Chewie, with the help of Turbis, are able to round up those stormtroopers. And in the act of doing so, there is actually a little action sequence that features a vehicle from The Rise of Skywalker, which is called the Tread Speeder, which I found pretty cool little connection right there. And the issue leaves off with one more part of the story that we have to find later out in December. We also have that other story, which is called Secret Agent Droids, and that's all about C-3PO and BB-8, and they come across this one character, and R2-D2 as well. I'm not going to forget our legendary droid R2 is featured pretty prominently in this story, which is great because R2 has been really getting flack for not really having much to do in the sequel trilogy. So hopefully this is a hint of things to come in The Rise of Skywalker. But with that being said, I digress. This story has this little female Duros. She's on this planet, which is called Gorel. So if you're familiar with Star Wars Rebels, yes, it's that same planet that they hide on that's close to the Lothal system. And they are currently under rule, of course, by the First Order. And while the First Order has this kind of transmission system that is relatively new, and once this thing gets hooked up, it's going to never have... You're basically going to prevent the Resistance from ever getting a foothold on this planet because they're going to control all communication. So their idea is they're going to sabotage this newer part of the program, which will then cause these people to think that it never worked to begin with, and that way they'll shut the program down and it won't look like they destroyed it. So that is the premise of this issue. We have lots of hijinks that ensue with BB-8 and with R2. They're electroshocking some First Order troopers, and we find out about the Game Master at the end, who is the big head honcho, and it leaves us off with a cliffhanger. So what'd you guys think of this week's comics? Let's talk about them in the comment section down below. Next week we could look forward to the conclusion of the Jedi Fallen Order Dark Temple miniseries with issue number 5, as well as Star Wars Saga issue number 1, which is a one-shot retelling of various very prominent story arcs in Star Wars that's going to prepare us for Star Wars Volume 1 coming, or Volume 2 coming out in January. So if you guys are new to the channel, welcome. I talk about Star Wars on a weekly basis, so make sure you go ahead. If you like this video, you can simply subscribe to the channel, as that's the best way to support me. If you're new to the channel, I put up plenty of videos recently, mainly a lot to do with The Mandalorian. I have my weekly reviews for that, as well as my weekly reviews for Star Wars Resistance, and I have an ongoing playthrough, walkthrough of Jedi Fallen Order. So that's going to do it for me, Starrapter, and special shout out to everybody that's living in the US. As of this video going out today, it is Thanksgiving, so make sure you spend some time with family and friends and tell you guys how much you all mean to me. Thanks for continuing to support the channel. I can't thank you guys enough. That's going to do it for me, Starrapter. Thank you so much for watching, and may the Force be with you always. Thanks for checking out the video. Please hit that thumbs up symbol. It helps me know that I'm making content that you guys enjoy. And if you enjoyed this video, I also include 2 videos down below you guys should check out. And please consider subscribing to this channel. It helps support me, and it notifies you guys of when I get new videos up on the channel. You can also contact me on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at Starrapter.